Dragonknight class refresh. There is a lot. There is a lot. You see how small the wheel is. It's gonna be a while. I think we have coffee. Delve into the Earthen Heart of the major changes and improvements coming to the Dragonknight class. ESO's combat team has returned to provide an update on the ongoing class refresh work. Specifically, they're taking you through the Dragonknight changes you can expect to find in Update 49 going live for all platforms on March 9th. But patch notes part developer deep dive, this breakdown delves into the team's thought processes behind almost every change to the Dragonknight. Be warned, this is a long read. As we mentioned in our class refresh announcement, in an effort to modernize ESO's classes, address overall combat balance, improve look and feel, and alleviate the subclassing concerns, changes are coming to the class system. The first class we're looking at is the Dragonknight. As developers, we look at design from the perspective of problem spaces, which identify issues that need to be solved. We can identify these spaces through metrics, player feedback, surveys, our own playthroughs, etc. Through this process, we come up with solutions to any identified problem spaces in the form of designs, which leads you to what you get in the game. Okay. Sounds reasonable. Every time they mention feedback though, you have to be very wary of what feedback you listen to. Like if it is informed feedback or if it's just people wanting to be vocal. And they have to be able to separate the two. That's important. Dragonknight size problems. Based on your feedback surveys and in-game metrics, we have identified the following problem spaces to address within the Dragonknight class. Dragoknights are currently portrayed as powerful attrition warriors, but they lack the distinct ability functionality that helps to bring this experience to life. As an extension of this, the Dragoknight's damage over time effects are built the same as any other class, true, making gameplay across classes feel somewhat homogenized. This is a global issue, it especially hurts Dragoknights. Yeah, all the dots, like they made that change a couple years ago where they made every dot be the same duration, or almost every dot. Every dot would do the same damage per tick, unless there was a specific modifier to that skill. They made everything the same, basically. And DK being the dot class, of course that affects DKs a lot. Now that doesn't mean DK doesn't have really good dots. I think the best dots are in Ardent Flame with Noxus Pet and Venomous Claw, for example. But it's not like dot gameplay from abilities is a big thing at the moment. It's mostly sets that provide the pressure with things like Sun or Lake Break and all the Oblivions as like Snake in the Stars and Disdain, increasing the status procurations and whatnot. I think the focus is more on the sets than the abilities. So if they want to make DK a dot class or feel more like a dot class, that'd be great. And Firebrand, of course, worth mentioning. Playing as a Dragonknight can often feel swingy in combat moments with their ultimates and passives, which allows them to come back from the brink. While this is a satisfying experience in some cases, such as Spell Roar, we want this to be a more central part of the Dragoknight's rhythm in combat, where it builds up to deliver eruptive, punctuated experiences like a volcano would. Skill lines are mostly focused on specific roles, while core functions are also split up. This makes Dragoknights suffer while subclassing compared to class like the Arcanist or Necromancer. I don't know if I agree with that. At least for PvP. I don't know if they're thinking about PvE, but even in PvE, Ardent Flame is a pretty solid skill line. You have Standard and you have Whip giving weapon spell damage. So Oblivion being a very good crit buff there. I don't know if I agree with the statement. I think the one that suffers the most from subclassing in PvP is Arcanist. Ardent Flame meta in PvE? Yes, and it's very good in PvP. And Earthen Heart is very good in PvP. If you want to play more DK skill lines, you can play Ardent Flame and Earthen Heart just fine. I mean, yeah, Draconic Power is bad, but you could say DK has the, like, one of the skill lines is the worst one in the game, that's been Draconic Power. So maybe that's the rationale, I don't know, but I would say there's other classes that suffer more in PvP than DK from subclassing. Like Arcanist, for example, you can't really subclass because you lose very important passives that have to do with the Cruxian and Crux consumption. For example. But I guess that's the idea, that you don't want people to subclass. But DK is still like, it's fine, I think. Is there any class that absolutely needs to subclass? I mean, all of them, yes, but like, which one needs to subclass the most when you think about it? I don't know if it's DK. I think Necro, yeah, Necromancer. Like, good luck playing Living Death and Bone Tyrant. Yeah, you're right, Necrobull. You kinda must subclass, you know. No, Arcanist, you still want to subclass, you lose more because you lose the passives, but the passives are not really worth it enough to disincentivize subclassing. But yeah, I would have started with Necron. Anyway, makes their skill lines less desirable to subclass into. For example, Burning Talons is locked behind an otherwise damage weak skill line, yes. Making less optimal option to take, despite being an iconic form of damage over time to a class. That's not the main reason why Burning Talons is bad though. Like, even if you have Draconic Power as a skill line, you want to run Scribing, and I talked about this on my tier list. You want to run Soul Burst. Why? Because Burning Talons has 6 meter range. It just doesn't land. You don't land the root, you don't land the damage over time, and the damage over time is about the same as on Soul Burst, which has 8 meter range. So you always want to run Soul Burst over Talons, unless you want to provide the synergy for your team, but it's like very, very specific scenario. So I hope they change Talons more than just by moving it to some different skill line. Recognize are significantly less effective and differentiated in the support role, lacking core tools in their kit, as well as a distinct gameplay experience for the role. That is true. That is true. That's mostly because the support skills that DK has are terrible. Again, I talked about this on my tier list, but Fragmented Shield, Igneous Shield, like, what is this? And even things like Cinders, like, and you have Cauterize on a damage skill line, for example, like, it's very, very weird to play as a healer. You can still do it. It's just you kind of want a subclass, but you want to subclass on every healer because you don't need them as skill lines or tank skill lines really. One of the major goals of the class refresh is making sure each class skill line offers something big and impactful for each role. Okay. I wonder how they're gonna make healer DK feel different from healer Templar or healer Necro, or how they want to incentivize staying monoclass for healer in particular. I guess we'll find out in this rework. In the standard for ESO's classes. Dragonknight solutions. Tackle the issues we mentioned above. We're looking to make the following high-level adjustments. Drive home the sensation of attrition by introducing ramping effects such as the Avalanche passive or the new Engulfing Dragonfire effect, which gets stronger as you persist in active combat. Okay, so kind of like DDF, I guess, or Roxa kind of stuff. That's not good for Acuity DK, because Acuity DK is very hit and run. That might have to change. But then again, you can kind of chill on the backlines and just rest the heavy still. It's not like you drop out of combat in PvP, so this might not affect PvP too much in the end. Capture that feeling of building an eruption power. Combat should reinforce rotations and a cycle with more clearly represented highs and lows. Need to do damage. Oh, so you need some dots. Okay. That's doable. Combat pack gonna make that fine. Now, if you need to do damage, it's a bit different then. There's a cycle with more. I mean, you have that with Acuity Koro right now, but Dragonites will have more nuanced effects that drive their identity. They'll offer unique abilities or twists that other classes lack to make them stand out contextually. such as unique damage over time functionalities with their own durations and damage values. Okay, that's good. I like when you don't have the same thing for everything. When you have different durations, different ranges, different like damage values, that's good. That's a good change, if they want to do that. Improve the dispersion of role functionality among the Dragonknight's skill lines. Each skill line should offer something meaningful for your role, while simultaneously making you pause to trade one of those skill lines for another in the context of subclassing. Okay, but how do you do this for healer? How do you do this for healer? So you have heals spread out between all of the skill lines right now. You have Cauterize on Ardent Flame, you have Cinders and Fragmented Shield on Earthen Heart. You have absolutely nothing in Draconic Power. Usually you pick one of those. You pick one of those, you get like Cauterize for example, or you get Cinderstorm. And then the other skill lines, you just get healing skill lines from other classes. Keep reading, okay. Improve the dispersion of role functionality among Dragonknight skill lines. Read that. Introduce more abilities and passives that aid in carving a niche in the support role, with effects like Protect the Brute, previously Dragonfire Scale, which gives range damage reduction to nearby group members. I was linked, I saw a little bit of this. They're buffing bulk groups, man. Not a big fan of that. We'll get more into that in a moment, I think. These high-level principles inform the more granular adjustments you'll see below from skill line to skill line and ability to ability. Upcoming adjustments, skill line shuffle. In light of subclassing, we've decided to look at skill line ability and passive distribution more closely than we have before. There are currently two distinct models of building skill lines for classes, a role-centric model, Necromancer, Arcanist, most of Warden, and one that focuses on team or identity, original for classes with some exceptions such as Nightblade's Assassination. Okay. What does that mean, with some exceptions? I'm trying to understand this phrase. Role-centric model. So you have the... How is this explained later? What does this even mean? You have Corpse mechanic, you have Crux mechanic, you have what exactly on Warden? Slightly confused here. One that focuses on team or identity. Warden has the Frost team and the Animal team. What about identity? What is the identity on Templar? What is the identity on Tankline? On the DLC. Right. That's what it means. But you kind of have that on Templar, so I don't know why they didn't add it there. Or well, I guess you don't have a tank skill line, right? Downsrat and Adric are both damage skill lines. Okay, I see. They do have a healing one though. Yeah, Templar doesn't really have a tank skill line. Most of it is in Adric Spear, but I wouldn't call it a tank skill line. Okay, so do they want to change that? Only for the DLC ones? Prior to subclassing, there was a strong internal sentiment that the newer class model of role-specific skill lines was a more successful system for newer players, building more digestible experiences and building more modular buckets that could be more easily compared and balanced to one another. With subclassing, however, this model introduced a slew of challenges and imbalances where now the ideal way to play would involve picking a role-specific line from every class. This created a sense that it was largely ineffective to stay true to your class, and that the power difference between those who do and do not was larger than any other build permutations before. Yes, I would agree with this. It's also hurt and exasperated an already existing problem space of class identity feeling, like it took a backseat to gameplay. As such, we'll be adjusting skill lines to follow a more team and identity focused model as we work on each class, where we blend a healthy mix of tools and effects for every role in each. Good! This is actually a very good way to balance the subclassing issue, if they do that. Because right now, you can just pick full damage, for example. If they spread the damage passives to different skill lines, put some defensive ones, then you lose offensive power. If you want to stack just full damage, like Animal Companions, Assassination being a good example. I think we should see less damage as a result of this. And it also fixes the healer issue, where if you have heals in every skill line, you have to kind of think which one you pick as a healer. Not just pick the healing skill line and then pick the healing skill line from the other classes. Which is like why, when subclassing came out, I said healer would be the easiest thing to build. When it came to subclassing, and it was. It was. We didn't need to change the healer builds, we just got an idea, build it, and boom, unkillable, giga heal bot. Easy. But if you have to think, if they put the heals in different skill lines and the passives, then that's a really good way to not maybe completely fix the subclassing problems, but at least fix a lot of them, right? So I would say this is a good approach. But they have to find all of them. They can't leave like one skill line that's just still gonna be super good for healing, and then everyone picks that skill line. You know, like, can't leave it half done. It is our hope that every skill line will offer something you can use regardless of your role, while simultaneously spilling out the power that makes a class come to life, and drive home the sensation that staying true to your class is also a much more viable and distinct option. That's good. That's what people have been asking for. Here's an outline of what each of the skill lines will look like for the Dragonknight. A crossed out name means that the ability or passive has moved, while originally X denotes a renamed or reworked effect. The movement of these abilities and passives does indeed change, which abilities and passives interact with one another, or even other effects like class sets. So keep this in the back of your mind. Interesting. There are some that require you to use specific abilities, like on Necro, for example, Bone Tyrant and Noble in Decay. If they move some good abilities to Bone Tyrant, that could be very impactful, for example, but let's see. We've also made adjustments to the movement of these abilities to ensure any previous progression is retained when an ability moves. We'll continue this effort through the class refresh. So Ardent Flame, Dragonknight Standard. There's no class set, by the way, that only works for Ardent Flame. There is the other one, Basalt, that requires Earthen Heart. Keep that in mind when reading any of this. Basalt might get buffed a lot as a result of the swapping of the abilities. So Standard stays, Whip stays, Searing Strike or Venomous Claw stays. I don't know if they changed these, but Fiery Breath, Noxus, Core of Flame, originally Inhale, so now we have a delayed burst, I guess. I kinda like Noxus, I feel kinda sad if... but we can probably get it from another skill line, potentially. Hearthfire, originally Ash Cloud. Okay, so you have a little bit of healing here now. And you still have Cauterize, so this could be a very good healing skill line. If you have Cinderstorm and Cauterize in one skill line, that's giga. Combustion, so you still get sustain. Traumatic Burns, they probably, like, if they rename the skill, that probably means that it gets a change as well, or passive. So Warmth is the 30% snare when you land an Ardent Flame ability, and I believe it's also 66% on... no, that's on Combustion, never mind. So you get burning and poison damage here. This was the snare. Snare and dot damage if you land an Ardent Flame ability. So they changed that. And the Flames, originally Searing Heat. This is the extra duration, right, on the dots, I believe. So they changed that passive. This passive was very meh, from what I recall, so it's good if they changed that. This was plus poison damage and fire damage. They changed that. Soul Ablaze, originally Burning Heart. Oh, they moved the... this is the Ultigen passive, right? Wait, no, Burning Heart was... which one was this? Was this the duration increase in Earthen Heart? Or healing received in Draconic... I don't remember which one, but... Something stays renamed without changing for some reason. Oh, I see. So Draconic Power has Leap, Noxus, okay, that immediately makes the skill line better. Talons, if they don't change it, it's still Garbo. Dragonblood, kinda mid-heal. Wing Buffet, originally Protective Scale. It's pronounced buff it, because they should buff it. I get it. Inhale, Chains of Flame, original Fire Grip. Oh right, they moved the gap closer to the skill line. Interesting. Interesting, interesting. Burning Scales, originally Iron Skin, is the armor passive. Golden Ruin, this was the extra fire and poison damage. Health regen stays, apparently. Skilled armor, the Storm Voice. This was, what was scale armor? That was healing received, I think. Or no, this is healing received. Oh no, this was block mitigation, never mind. This was the armor. I need to drink my coffee. Storm Voice, original Battle Roar. Battle Roar in Draconic Power, interesting. Interesting, interesting. Earthen Heart, so Koro stays there. Keep in mind, Earthen Heart has the other class. Magma Armor, Superheated Ward, originally Stonefist. So they changed Stonefist. Someone said they wouldn't. They should, the skill is not good. Molten Weapons, Obsidian Shield. Please change Obsidian Shield. Why is this in the game even? And Molten Weapons is kinda not a fun ability. Petrify. Ashcloud, Earthspike Mantle, originally spiked armor. Do they change the armor buff? Do they? Or just the name? I guess we'll find out. Passives. Eternal Mountain, Heart of Stone, originally scaled armor. Just the armor. Avalanche, Balror is changed from the skill line. Mountain's Blessing, this was the ulti gen and minor brutality. Mountain Giant, Helping Hands, this was the 1k stam if you use an Earthen Heart ability with a cost of more than 1k magicka. Additional changes and improvements. We've also made a series of additional tweaks, fixes and improvements to the Dragonknight class. New visual and sound effects to every single Dragonknight ability. Okay. We'll test those on PTS. Update animations for the following Dragonknight abilities. Some of these are completely new, while others are polish to existing animations. Dragonknight standards and its morphs. Lava Whip and its morphs, including the specialized versions that make you do a sick flip. Ah. Oh, that's about the Paula's. Where's PTS on 12th, Monday, yep. Searing Claw and its morphs, they also now alternate from right and left variant as you cast the ability. Okay. Core Flame, originally Inhale and Morphs. Hearthfire, originally Ashcloud and Morphs. Inferno and Morphs. Dragon Leap, so basically everything gets a animation, like different animation change. Ingolfin Dragonfire Morph also gets a special variant animation to denote the spicy morph change. Okay. Talons, Dragon Blood, get pumped full of blood. The animation on Dragon Blood was always kinda weird. It just turned you transparent basically. It was a bit weird. Wing Buffet. Get the foot chokes. Sense of Flame and its morphs. Sense of Devastation morph also gets a fancy unique animation to differentiate it. Okay. That's the Gap Flows one. Magma Armor and its morphs. Superheated Ward, original Stonefist and its morphs. Also applies a unique weapon appearance for the caster that looks absolutely fire. Oh, that could be cool. But hopefully they make the ability worth using. Same with Obsidian Shield. Like mentioned on the tier list. Add cool new flavor text to all of the passive abilities in the Dragonknight skill lines. They did that with the Arcanist. By the way, they have a flavor text. Yeah, Pets, how you doing? We made many Dragonknight abilities to better align with their functionality and overall lore. Okay. All sorts of poison damage have been updated to flame damage in the Dragonknight kit. Wait. What? These changes were made to better focus on the core fantasy of the Dragonknight, where many affixes didn't work, synergize, or coherently mess with poison across the entire kit. Oh. We'll be reintroducing poison damage elsewhere in the game with other class refreshes, where it fits into the overall theme of said class rather than being tacked on. Nightblade. Clip it, save it, Nightblade is getting poison damage. That means they probably change combustion passive to only increase fire damage. Enjoy the new Dragonknight animations and effects. Specific Dragonknight ability changes. For update 49, we made the following changes to Dragonknight skill lines and abilities. These details are typically found in the patch notes, but we wanted to delve a little deeper and share more of our thoughts surrounding each change with you. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Dragonknight Standard. This ultimate and the Standard of Might morph no longer deal damage to the enemies inside or apply major defile. Ooh. They saw Marka dueling. And they thought, okay, this needs a nerf. That is what happened. Instead, this ultimate grants you and up to 11 allies standing in the area increased weapon spell damage 275, it's a lot, and reduce damage taken 12%. This effect cannot stack. That's so far this is a nerf. We didn't read the morphs yet, but so far this is a nerf. No damage, no major defile. For a PvP this is a nerf. For a PvE it's probably a buff. It's a big buff actually. Group buff. This morph significantly increases these bonuses for the caster of the ultimate. Adds 125 weapon spell damage. It's 15% damage right now, they removed that. Keep that in mind. And it's 15% damage taken reduction in the area. So you lose personal damage from a Standard of Might in PvE as well. But you buff your team. So everyone gets 375. And the Standard doesn't move, keep that in mind. So it's in PvP it's not gonna make a difference. But what about the Shifting Standard? Shifting Standard, this morph continues to work as originally designed, dealing damage and applying major defile. Oh, never mind, they didn't see Marka dueling. Okay. All good, all good. I don't think it's broken, by the way. It's fine, it's a good skill. Doesn't need a nerf, doesn't need a buff. That's good. Kind of. I'm gonna change my PvE build anyway to Templar. So I don't mind that. It would be a nerf to it though. Or the current one I play. Lava Whip. This ability now becomes Volcanic Whip for 7.9 seconds after it damages an off-balanced enemy. The time window activation can occur only once every 20 seconds. I don't like the off-balance condition. It's just very clunky in PvP. Unless they added some better ways to apply off-balance for decay. So you have to like sort them both back bar with the scribe or run some like shock wall to reliably apply off-balance or run two spammables with dizzy swing and when whip, which is weird. Not a huge fan of the lava whip at the moment, but I mentioned this on the tier list. The time window activation can occur only once every 20 seconds, costs half as much, deals 33.3% more damage. That's Molten Whip is 60% right now, so it's a little bit less than Molten Whip. And I assume it doesn't give weapon spell damage. Deals damage in 5 meter radius around the original target. Oh shit. Okay, that could be kinda good in PGs then, if you hit off-balance target, but you need a way to apply off-balance. Maybe you could run something like the Doubled Scribe, if they nerf Fossilize from what I've heard in chat. I will read everything, but just theorizing ahead of time. It also needs to be AoE off-balance in group fights, because otherwise like the target is just gonna fuck you up and you don't get the AoE. Balance later, okay. This change was made to help introduce the Flameless Morph gameplay element sooner, while also making the window of interaction with off-balance less restrictive. You now get a guaranteed window of time after hitting the off-balance target, rather than being forced to drop everything you're doing while off-balance is active. Wait, hold on. Because right now how it works is that you hit an off-balance target and you turn your whip into powerless. So how is this gonna be any different? You have to damage an off-balance target with the whip. How is this any different? I don't understand it. This ability is no longer set immobilized or stunned enemies off balance. Sourced off balance on a new passive. Oh, it's on a passive. Okay, interesting. Interesting. That's huge for heavy attack builds, if you have a passive off balance. Very interesting. Flameless. This morph now heals you and heals you anytime the ability deals damage, rather than only when powerless version is active. Oh, this is the base morph. Hold on. I didn't even realize. I thought we were talking about the lava whip. Flameless. It's the base morph. So they buff the base morph a lot. What does Flameless do? So it heals you, kind of like it does right now. But then only when powerless version is active. Morph sees the same changes to activating powerless as the ability, base ability does. Okay, so they don't really change Flameless. It's kinda... Oh, they do actually, because it heals anytime, not just when the extra damage is active, but you get a heal from the like non-off-balance proc hits as well. That's a big buff actually. But they probably nerfed the heal. I would be very surprised if the heal is a burst heal on BTS. If it is, then everyone's gonna run this. If you burst heal and use a spammable at the same time, then that's kinda broken, right? So they probably nerfed the heal. Molten Whip. This morph continues to rework the ability into a more self-contained building effect. Focused on high single target burst damage. Okay, so kinda like it is right now. Remains split in cost of magic and stamina, but now generates stacks when using any Dragonknight ability other than itself, instead of only building of Ardent Flame abilities. That's a good change. It's a very good change, I think. This should make the build-up more rewarding while using a more Dragonknight ability heavy rotation and feeling more organic and rhythmic to use. Adjusted the stack bonus to 33% per stack, up from 20%. Reduce the duration to 10 seconds. That's a huge buff. If it gives the same tooltip, this is gonna hit about as hard as a bow proc. But with less time to dodge solid. That's kinda broken, I think, potentially. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about buffing the damage, but maybe it's fine if they change the passives. Okay, Searing Strike. Its ability and morphs now last for 10 seconds, down from 20 seconds. Deal 50% more damage per second to make up for their shorter duration. Holy shit. That's a big buff. That's a big buff. This morph has been reworked to Searing Claw, which deals flame damage instead of poison damage. Remains a stamina morph that increases damage per tick, which has been increased to match the same power increase with the shorter duration. Okay, so the elastics are gonna be like a spammable with this. More or less. That's crazy. Embers. Heal from this morph now scales off max health, rather than damage done. To offer a more helpful tool for tanks to gain some staying power in combat. Okay, this is one of those things that's gonna depend on the value. How much of max health per tick? Can you still apply it to multiple targets? Like, this could be very broken on tank depending on the values. Because Burning Embers you can apply it to multiple targets and you get multiple heal ticks. It's one of the best things about it. If you're outnumbered. It requires a lot of micromanagement, but the heal could be a lot stronger with max health. And you kinda wanna build max health if you want to go brawler or a tank, usually. Or Flame. This ability and morphs no longer deal damage instantly or heal for the damage cost. So this is Inhale. This ability now restore 15% of your missing magic and stamina 3 times over 4 seconds. What? %15% of your missing, so you just get back 45% of your missing magic and stamina. So if you have 30k, then you get back 15k over 4 seconds. That's like the most broken sustain skill in the game. Or am I missing something? They continue to deal damage around you after the duration ends. But there's a cost, right? There's a magic cost to the ability. So You probably don't get the magicka back, but you get the stamina back still. Still broken. Soul Flame, this morph continues, that's the base morph by the way. Continues to add an interrupt on the initial activation, but no interrupts after a 350 millisecond delay instead of instantly. For better visual syncing and counterplay. Okay, who cares about interrupt though? If you're casting an interruptible ability in the face of someone who's in melee range, you can just bash it. This is inconsequential. So this is well, I don't know about this one. Just wasted development time. Why do you need counterplay to bad play in the first place? This morph also continues to increase the damage of the explosion, which has increased to a 33% bonus up from 25%. Okay, but you don't have initial damage. But it is kinda broken for sustain now. Missing magic and stamina though. Oh right, it's kinda like you're right. You have to be actually missing that the resources. You have to be low resources to get good value. But even if you're 15%, like let's say, or 50%, let's say you're 50% stam and you have 30k. So you're missing 15k. You get 2.2k per second. Or 3 times over 4 seconds. Oops. 250. Although you get less as you get more resources. But you still get a lot though. You guys can be broken. What's up, MRK? Yeah, these are some crazy buffs so far. We've only read the Ardent Flame so far. You get a little bit more damage on the last explosion. You could still use it as a delayed burst, but it's polymorph sustain skill. Morph now heals you for 15% of your missing health each tick. Longer adds magicka when damaging enemies. That function of resource recovery is now part of the base ability. Oh, okay, let's make it a heal as well. So if you're missing 20k health. It's okay, it's not a lot, it's like 3k heal. No, it's just a sustain skill now, but potentially kinda good sustain skill. You know what this allows you to do? So you have full control over the stamina basically. You can turn your excess stamina into survivability with dodge souls or blocking. And if you're spamming burst heals, you're really draining your magic as well. So if you drop both low to like 30%, and then you use this, or use the one that heals you as well, while blocking, for example. You just go back to... You don't go to full resources, but you recover a lot of resources. So this could be kinda good. The problem is that it needs a target, right? So there's counterplay to this. Unless this is separate from the damage. Reading this, it seems like it's separate from the damage, so you don't need to actually... Yeah, because there's not even any instant damage. Oof. Yeah, I think this can be very strong for sustain. Hearthfire. This ability and the original Cinderstorm morph now grant minor fortitude and heroism to allies inside the area. Oh, okay. Rather than slowing enemies' movement speed by 70%. Increase the radius to 8 meters. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is what I said on my tier list. Increase the radius. And they do it. Good. Good. So you have a little bit more room to work with Cinderstorm. It's not just a drop it and gambit dueling ability, perhaps. You could use this and maybe cauterize on DK healer now. Heroism also, thank you, saving my gold. Much appreciated. Minor fortitude, health reason is kind of whatever, but it's a nice extra. Firekeeper, original Cinderstorm. This morph continues to increase the healing effectiveness by 50%, but now only does so if the caster is inside the area of effect. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So you can't like stay far away and drop it on your allies and do giga heals. You still do some healing, but you can buff it if you stand inside of it. To make up for this, however, it also causes minor fortitude and heroism to stick to allies for 15 seconds after being healed. So it's a good healer ability. Interesting. Very interesting. Heart and Home, originally Eruption. This morph no longer reworks the ability into a damaging effect and instead remains a healing effect. Okay. My idea was that the instant damage could not have a cooldown, and it could be like a unique way of a ranged AoE skill. It has a like cost every 2 seconds, and you could kind of spam it. But this is also fine if they just want to rework it. This morph continues to reduce enemy movement speed inside the area by 70%. This morph now also grants the caster major protection while inside the area to help ability be more valuable to tanks. Yeah, or you can just run monomyth. So this morph is kinda whatever. You lose the snare, but... Oh, this is also 8 meter radius, so the snare is a lot more valuable. Maybe you could play some... You get less healing, but you get major protection, and you get a giga snare in the area. Interesting. I don't know which one I would pick. Maybe you make some non-monomyth build, get major protection from this. But I don't think that's even the strongest part about this. I don't think the heal even is the strongest part about this. If the radius is 8 meters, and you have like 70% snare in the area. 70% is ridiculously good. I think they did a good job balancing Cinderstorm. Inferno. This ability and the Flames of Oblivion morph now fire a massive wave of flame in an 8 meter radius. What the heck? Then firing a limited number of fireballs to enemies in 50 meter radius. This removes the original target cap of the abilities. Increase the cost to 4050 per activation from 2160 account for the new area melting potential. I don't know about this though. Reduce the chance of applying burning stage effect to 5% down from 10% to account for these changes. Is it still gonna fire every 5 seconds, or is it just like you click and it fires like an AoE? Incinerate, originally Flames of Oblivion. This morph now deals 10% more damage and has 15% base chance of applying burning. Note that the morph can no longer increase the target count. And Cauterize is... what about Cauterize? They don't talk about Cauterize here. Yeah, this sounds like a nerf to Flames of Oblivion. Combustion. This passive now grants you 112 magic and stamina at rank 1 and 225 at rank 2 when applying burning with an Ardent Flame ability slotted. Oh, okay. So you need to have a... I mean, that's not too difficult. With a 1 second cooldown. That's if you apply burning every second, that's 450 mag regen. Mag and stam regen. I think it's more than at the moment, right? So there's a... If I'm not mistaken, this is a slight buff. Oh, it says here, 211 magic and stamina at rank 1 and with a 3 second cooldown. Yeah, so it is a buff, basically. Cooldowns down to 1 second. Or well, not always a buff, you need to be very active. Have like a lot of dots up or do a lot of AoE damage to apply burning every second. Maybe it's less to stay most of the time. Passive no longer increase the damage done by burning or poisoned. Burning path has moved to a different passive and has been improved. Okay. I don't know if it needs to be improved, but I mean it does if they remove poison, right? Kind of. Traumatic Burns, originally Warmed. This passive now causes enemies you've damaged with a direct Ardent Flame ability to take 5% increased flame damage while reducing their movement speed by 15% at rank 1, 30% at rank 2 for 5 seconds. Oh, okay, so it's no longer dot damage, it's just increased flame damage. Interesting. Very interesting. So it buffs the whip damage as well. That's a buff. That's, I think, overall a buff. It's now where old Engulfing Flames effect lives and should be easy to keep up. Yeah, if it's on a passive, of course it's easy to keep up. You won't run Engulfing Flames in PvP usually. Like, the Noxus is just way, way, way better as a morph. Phantom Flames, originally Searing Heat. Special now increase your chance of applying burning by 25% at rank 1 and 50% at rank 2. And the damage it does by 12% at rank 1 and 25% at rank 2. How is this a... I mean, I guess it's a buff. I mean, it depends on how you calculate this. Is it 50% on the existing... it probably is, right? It's 50% on the existing... like, let's say, single target dot, so you have 3%, right? So you get 50%, 4.5%, and then it's additive with the charge, then... I don't know if this... it is probably a small buff still, but... You lose a little bit of damage. It used to be 30% on the damage part. 5% at rank 2 per... Oh! Oh, this value is increased by 5% at rank 1 and 10% at rank 2. 2% at rank 1, 5% at rank 2. Oh, the damage also increases. Oh. Never mind, that's a buff. Lowering extends the duration of, or damage of some of your Ardent Flame abilities. Holy shit. So you can have... you can just do giga damage with burning. So if you have 5 DK abilities, that's another 25%. You get 50% more damage with burning. Interesting, interesting. Long extends the duration, that's whatever. Also plus 10% proc sense, but that's kind of whatever. It's additive. It's nice though. It's a nice little buff. It's kind of like the Warden passive for chill damage, just for burning on DK. I like the design. A solo plays originally Burning Heart. This passive now increases healing taken at all times by 4% at rank 1, 8% at rank 2, rather than 4 and 9 when meeting certain conditions. Okay, I mean... Previously you need to have a Draconic Power ability active to get the healing, but you would pretty much always have that from the armor buff. But it's on a better skill line now, and it is always active, so I think overall this is probably a buff. So you get 8% healing, this is a pretty solid skill line. After the changes, I'd say. Do you even need to run the other DK skill lines? You can just run this and subclass, for example. Because what do you need? Do you have... you probably want to run other skill lines, actually. You would run probably like Cinderstorm, Cauterize for survivability. The Searing Claw and Whip. You could have almost like full DK skill line bar, but you probably want to run the heals on the back bar, so... You still need some other DK skill line with fire damage and just maxing out the passives. But yeah, they're definitely leaning into the class identity here. I like that. So far, this has exceeded my expectations, which is rare. Draconic Power, Dragon Leap. We rebuilt how this ability handles the movement aspect under the hood and to be more modern, fixing numerous inconsistencies compared to other movement abilities and unique bug cases. I wonder if they fixed the very good streak after DK cap loss, because the reason they have the snare, the 99% snare, when someone leaps you, is because it's an AoE on the location you landed. If people were moving fast, you could miss your leaps. So that's why they added the 99% snare, but you could still shriek right before or at the same time DK leaps, and you would dodge the leap with the shriek. I wonder if they fixed that. Fixed numerous issues with the knockback being desynced from the actual damage impact. That was also a thing, which would also make it easier to counteract the CC effect as an opponent. This ability anti-take flight morph now deal flame damage rather than physical damage. Reduce the damage of the base ability by 16% to account for the damage change, as there are numerous ways to amplify this effect back to similar or higher values. Okay. Take flight. This morph now fills you with Draconic Fury for 15 seconds after activation, which increases your damage done by 10%, doubles against monsters. Ooh, it's like half of incap, but for 15 seconds. Interesting, interesting. Move no longer extends the range or reduces the cost. It's the same as Major Berserk, but stacks with Major Berserk. Extends the range or reduces the cost. We decrease the base damage by 19% to account for other potential damage increase. Okay. I think this needs to be tested on BTS. Not for one target, but yeah, so it's kinda up closer to Northern Storm, I guess. Except Northern Storm gives you 18% damage. Or was it like 9 seconds after it stacks up? So this is instant, you don't need to stack it up. Ferocious Sleep. This morph now instantly applies the damage cell for 10 seconds instead of applying it after delay for 6 seconds. I mean, this is like very often you would die after you leap if you like die mid-air, for example. Like not very often, but sometimes. So this is a small buff, right? Increase the potency by 4%. It's already very strong shield. It's like 100% of your max health. Morph now knocks enemies up rather than away to make it more tank friendly, so they can control the fight rather than disrupt it. Okay. Depending on the feedback, we may make this change to crowd control a universal one, as there's value in many cases to have it be less disruptive. The only reason we haven't so far is because it takes away some of that balanced feeling of crashing down like a dragon and pushing foes back in all directions. Let us know your thoughts. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think they should do it to everything. Maybe some abilities, yes, you could have a knock up where they don't get knocked back, but having knockbacks is still good as a kiting tool on things like the Javelin Morph and Trample and like other stuff. It's nice to have the option to push people away. So I don't think they should do that on everything. Don't think that should be a thing. Dragonfire Breath, originally Fire Breath. Decrease the duration to 10 seconds down from 20 seconds, increase the damage per second by 50%. This ability is now a stamina ability at this space, okay. Disintegrating Dragonfire, originally Noxious Breath. This morph now deals flame damage rather than poison damage, remains a stamina ability and continues to add major bleeds while applying the respective status effect, now burning, to all enemies affected by the initial hit. This is a nerf. This is a nerf because you don't have execute modifier on burning, which means that if you use it in execute, or when people are below 50% health, you don't do as much damage. And also you have a lot of other sources of burning. So overall this is a nerf. Which I'm not too happy about, but I understand why they're doing it. They want DK to be the fire class and be all about fire damage. That's fine. That's fine. Engulfing Dragonfire, originally Engulfing Flames. This morph is now the Rework morph, which costs Magicka instead of stamina. This morph now channels the flame attack in front of you over 4.8 seconds and deals 20% increased damage when it hits an enemy. Up to once every second, up to a maximum of 80%. When Take Flight is active, this deals maximum damage. Damage is considered dark damage. So the dark damage you deal in front of you for 4.8, but it's a channel. Is it that channel that you have to actually channel, or do you cast it and you can do other things? Need to test this. This could be like delayed, kind of like delayed burst. Kind of. Being called a Dragonknight, the class has always been missing the most iconic feeling of being a dragon, unleashing an unabated flame upon their foes with a channeled flame breath. We also realized that many of our players have expressed the desire to enjoy the game at a slower pace, and as we've introduced similar attacks into high levels of play with heavy tech builds and Fate Carver, we want to make sure there are more flavors to this experience. Oh boy. Each with their own distinctions in how you build and play. So is this the DK Beam? Are we getting DK Beam that you can combo with Leap? And is it gonna be as garbo as Beam in PvP? These are the questions. What is the radius of the fire breath? Smurf now won't be bringing the same heat as either of those builds alone, but it should help take some pressure off constantly needing to press down the gas pedal buttons. Okay, okay. I mean, we'll have to test it out. Dark Talons. Okay, let's see. No major changes to note outside of patch notes. This one just looks cooler and should look a little less buggy when used against immobilized immune targets. And it's still not going to be used. It's still not going to be used, so... Why? Because it's 6 meters. Why is Talons 6 meter AoE? Can anyone explain that to me? Why is Talons a 6 meter AoE? When you apply, like you introduce scribing, and you have 8 meters on Contingency, so you have 8 meters on Soul Burst. These are actual good roots, and people actually use them. This is dog shit. They still use fucking dog shit, and they do nothing to it. And the other morph is even worse. I mentioned this in my tier list. Joking Talons is F tier abilities, one of the worst fucking things in the game. Why do you not rework it? Why leave the worst abilities alone? This is one of the abilities that are in most need of a rework. And instead, like, they rework the abilities that people already use. That makes no sense at all. Dragon Blood. This ability and the Green Dragon Blood morph now heal based on your max health. Increase based on your missing health. Rather than scaling exclusively off your missing health. Interesting. Do we get a DK Pollament? I wouldn't mind that. You have to compare this ability to Pollament, and keep in mind that Pollament heals one additional target as well. Should make them more reliable and comparable to other self-heals. Well, we're gonna compare this to Pollament on PTS, and if it's not as good as Pollament, they have failed. It's still different, because it's healing based on missing health afterwards, right? Increase based on missing health. So it should be stronger than Pollament if you heal at low health. Because it has no heal over time. Unless they keep that, like it has some small heal over time, right? But because it's a heal that is very, like, reactionary, you drop low health, you click this, you get good value. It should be stronger at that point than Pollament. Still be weaker at higher health though, compared to other abilities. Okay, yes, this should be the trade-off. This should be the trade-off. Blood of the Green Dragon, original Green Dragon Blood. This morph has just a slight name change. Okay, so you have a heal of time on it. Blood of the Elder Dragon, originally Quag. Continues to change the heal scaling to offensive stats. Okay. Now also heals allies within 10 meters of you for 2/3 of the original scaling. Okay. I mean, this could be really good for DK healer then. If you build a stat-based healer, not a max health healer. Also grants minor courage and major fortitude to any healed target. Okay. Instead of just major fortitude to support builds may like this one. Yes, I think you have a good DK heal with this potentially. You always heal yourself, that's important. Interesting. Interesting. Wing Buffet. Originally protective scale. This ability and the protective plate morph now knock enemies back within 6 meters of you, 4 meters after a slight delay. So delayed CC, delayed knockback. How much is the delay? The abilities continue to reduce your damage taken from ranged and projectile attacks by 50% for 6 seconds after activating. These abilities now grant major expedition, moved from fire grip for 4 seconds after activating as well. Let those wings unfurl. It depends on the delay on the CC. Like, if you can use this as a delayed CC, then I can see this being useful. Like, CC plus 50% projectile damage reduction, you can use this as a like anti-bow proc ability as well. Kind of. It's an AoE knockback as well. 6 meters is not a lot of radius though. Should be 8, I think. Maybe one of the morphs has a radius increase. Morph just has a name change. So you have to think of like Arctic. Arctic is also 6 meters. But Arctic does a lot more over its whole duration than just the CC. Has the dark damage when you cast it, really good pressure. So if it's similar to Arctic, maybe you can use this. Maybe. Blitz Wings, original protective plate is the snare and root removal. Just as a name change. Okay. So you have a CC, snare and root removal, 50% damage reduction, and major expedition. Yeah, I think this ability is good. I think it's good. Compare this to Race Against Time. Race Against Time, major expedition, snare and root removal, right? That's it. And minor force, which is very easy to get nowadays. This one is also a CC and 50% projectile damage reduction. This is just a better Race Against Time. Protect the Brute, originally Dragonfire scale. This morph has been reworked to be a support morph. No longer deals flame damage back to attackers while active and sacrifices the new area knockback on activation. This morph now grants group members within 12 meters. I actually saw this was linked to me. 25% reduced damage taken from projectiles for 6 seconds and adds minor protection for 20 seconds to you and group members affected. Continues to grant you major expedition as well. This effect cannot stack with itself or any other version of the range damage reduction. Okay, this is what I was thinking about. You can stack it with the other one, have a DK group that has 75% range damage reduction. But yeah, this is a group, this is like another bulk group buff, basically. It buffs 11 other people, right? Or does it have no cap at all? Just everyone within 12 meters? I don't like this. I don't think we need more bulk group buffs. Chains of Flame, originally Fiery Grip. Ability and Morphs damage now always applies burning. Okay, it's kind of what I was talking about in my tier list. There should be some dot attached. Burning is fine, especially since now it gives you sustain as well. Always applies burning for more synergistic gameplay with other parts of the Dragonknight kit. We added a new special sound effect to the act of successfully pulling enemies, helping dial up the satisfaction of controlling your foes. Simply then the Unraveling Grip morph now apply major coverage for 10 seconds to the enemy, rather than granting you major expedition. That's a buff. That is just a buff. You don't need major expedition after you pull someone. It's kind of pointless. Plus you have the wings for that now, right? So this is the base morph. This is the base morph. Overall, pretty good buff. For the Brawl DK I have. Major coverage and we continue to run the Fast Rider with that, so reduce the crit ratios of the target. You can giga debuff people that you pull. Change of Domination, originally Unrelenting Grip. Increase the duration of major coverage to 15 seconds to match stone timers. Continues to refund the ability if the target is not pulled. Okay. This is kinda like not a huge change really, like small buff I guess when you morph it, but doesn't make a huge difference. The cost reduction is one of the reasons why you can run the pull in PvP. People can be CC immune and you can still cast the ability for range damage, right? And now it's also gonna apply major coverage. So overall pretty good buff. Change of Devastation. This morph now grants major evasion for 10 seconds after activating to help you shrug off some of the damage you may receive for diving headfirst into combat. Okay. Increase the duration of the major berserk to 6 seconds up from 4 to help it be more worthwhile to use in a rotation. Note that this with the burning application helps it do notably more damage, so beware the Dragonknight who pulls themselves to you. Okay, so that's a pretty solid buff, I'd say, to chain pull. It's already one of the strongest gap closers in the game. Now it can also be a major evasion. If you run this with, I mean, you pretty much cast it once within 10 seconds usually, so it should be pretty good major evasion uptime. Interesting, interesting, and 50% increase on the major berserk uptime that you have. Pretty solid buff. Burnish Scales, originally Iron Skin. Its passive has just a name change, okay, so you still get the block mitigation there. Welding Ruin. Its passive now increases your damage done with area and over time attacks by 3% at rank 1 and 7% at rank 2. Rather than increasing your flame and poison damage by 2 and 5% at rank 2. Okay, so that applies to Leap, it applies to the new Engulfing Flames, I guess. Quite a few things. It's even more burning damage. Burning's gonna hit like a truck on DK. God damn. Applies twice to AoE dots could be fun. Yeah, I don't think it does, but worth testing. Could be kind of ridiculous. Elder Dragon. Special now increase your health recovery by up to 350 at rank 1, 700 at rank 2 based on your missing health. Oh, I see. It's probably still a buff though, because you don't need to slot the Draconic Power abilities. 23 at rank 2 per drag. Yeah, but you could have a lot from that. Potentially. Special now also grants you an... Oh, okay. Now grants you and nearby group members minor brutality for 20 seconds. So this is from moved from Earthen Heart to Draconic Power. So far Draconic Power is getting some giga buffs. I'm happy about that. It's the weakest skill line at the moment for PP. Definitely needs buffs. Moved from what was originally Mountain's Blessing. Okay. Storm Voice, originally Battle Roar. This passive now grants you 8 health Okay, so Battle Roar's also in Draconic Power. They turned Draconic Power from like the weakest skill line to the strongest one. Interesting. Now grants you 8 health, magic and stamina per ultimate spent at rank 1 and 16 at rank 2. Did they nerf it though? Wait. 16 at rank 2, plus 3 to these values per drag. Oh, okay. No, it's buffed overall, I think. Or is it? No, it's not buffed. Oh, 6 at rank 2, so if you have... you would need a lot of DK abilities, but you can have a lot of DK abilities now. So they have it, but if you have 3 DK abilities, it's equal to how it was. You can have slightly more sustain from all this, I think. Subclass is a big nerf. Yeah, I like that. It's a good change. Should make this passive relatively effective for any who obtain it, while being even more effective for those who go all in with the Dragonknight experience. It will be a buff at 3 or more Dragonknight abilities, while being weaker at less than 3. Okay. Kinda what we just calculated actually. I could have just read. Interesting. Some nice changes to Draconic Power. Earthen Heart. Magma Armor. I was linked this earlier, so I kind of know what to expect. Spoilers. We increased the base duration to 12 to 15 seconds. Oh, okay, I didn't see this part. What the fuck? Magma Cell Morph of this ultimate and the Magma Cell Morph. Oh, but not corrosive. Okay. Up from 7 to 10 seconds, but remove the flame damage on both of these versions. This means these effects will no longer scale with the Elfbane item set. Okay. Magma Cell. This is the weaker morph. Increase the radius of the shield granted to 28 meters. Yes, this is what I talked about on my tier list. The shield was like 6 meter AoE around you, or 8 meters, so it never actually buffed your teammates. More allies actually get the shield. Increase the shield size to 130, 133 of the target's max health, up from 100%. It's a pretty solid shield. It's a pretty solid shield, but I don't think it's gonna compete with Gibbering. Although you do get the damage reduction still. You still cap your damage taken to 3% of your max health. So this could be an option also for DK Healer as an ultimate. If you can spam Magma Cell somehow. It has more duration, but you still block your ulti gen. So now you also give your teammates shields and you just become really tanky as a healer, right? Interesting change. It is a buff. It is still a buff. Corrosive Armor. This morph now deals flame damage instead of poison damage. This means the effect can now scale with Elfbane. Okay, but Elfbane is still... I won't run Elfbane even after this. Base duration remains 10 seconds. They changed the passive, right? There's no duration increase from passives. So you only have 10 seconds now. Increase the damage per tick by 300%. This should make it kind of like Northern Storm around you, by the way. And the damage also benefits from your corrosive itself, so this is gonna hit really hard. This morph continues to cause you to ignore enemy armor while active, but now affects all damaging attacks instead of your dark damage. So for Acuity Koro DK, this is not gonna change too much. Most of your damage was direct damage because the build was optimized that way. But for like the Stam DK that I have, which had Noxus Breath, which had Venomous Claw, which had Venom Arrow for the Major Brutality and Sorcery, this is a ridiculously big buff. Those dots will just absolutely melt people. You can apply Venom Arrow and then just... I guess Noxus is not gonna be run anymore. We gotta change that to something else, but The Venomous Claw also is just buffed, the base damage is buffed. The last ticks of Venomous Claw, if you have Corrosive up, are just gonna absolutely melt people. DKS pops Corro and you die. Yeah, also gonna buff Firebrand damage, by the way. Firebrand, fucking Relican. You run Fire and Relican, you pop Corro, your opponent's just dead. They're just dead. Or you can run something like Sun and get full pen on Sun. On the last tick of Sun. Good luck surviving that. I think this is kinda broken. And I'm not a big fan of this change. I was hoping for something different. I was hoping they kept Corro as it was. And maybe changed Magma Cell to give pen to dots and not direct matters, but only dots here. To account for these massive power buffs, the damage limit has been adjusted to 8% of your max health, rather than 3%, causing you to take significantly more damage while the ultimate is active. So what does this mean? Nothing in duels, everything in open world in BGs. There's gonna be a lot less cases where you can just run in and pop Corro and have an offensive window if you have the weaker team in a BG, if you wanna just dive in and do some damage. There's gonna be less cases where you can do that, because you take more than twice the damage in Corro. You need to either double your heal over times, or play even less max health to account for this. So right now the damage you take from each attack in Corro, if you have 30k health, is max 900. After this change, the max damage you take if you have like 30k health, which is kinda basic, is 2.4k. You take full damage from every dot, you take almost full damage from every spammable. The only time you take less damage is from ultimates and things like bow procs. So I am not a huge fan of this. I don't think they should have balanced it this way. It didn't need more damage. The damage from Corro is absolutely fine. I don't think it needed any extra survivability either. I think it was fine. But now they're buffing the offense by ridiculous amounts and just introducing meta where you have builds that are just unsurvivable, which is gonna lower the skill cap of the game. Like it did when they buffed Bowproc and they introduced subclassing and people had access to more damage and no one could have access to similar amounts of extra defense. Just make the game easier to play for people who don't know how to play it. I'm not a huge fan of that. So this Corro change is kinda bad. It's kinda bad. I hope they readjust this during BTS when they realize how absolutely broken it is in PvP. And how bad this change is to make the, like what was a good defensive ulti, a lot worse one. Burst not too bad, helps against big burst. Yeah, it helps you in like duels, right? Helps you in duels, but if you dive into an enemy team in a BG and you still take in full damage from almost everything, you're still gonna die instantly. Unless you find a way to double your heals. Which you might be able to do with these changes. Like you might switch Flames of Oblivion to Cauterize, because Flames of Oblivion doesn't exist anymore. You might find a way to run Cinderstorm. With the change, with it being on the different skill lines, like there might be some ways to make up for it, but maybe you run. Let's see what the other abilities do here before we judge this. But just reading this, not a huge fan. I think the damage part is gonna be broken with the other skill lines already, and I haven't seen enough like defensive stuff to really make up for what you lose. Morph has always struggled to be a decent damage ultimate outside of PvP. And you buff it for PvP. Despite presenting it as an incredibly potent one. And you buff it for PvP. Huh? Am I going crazy? What am I missing? Did I miss something? It gives you penetration. You don't need penetration in PvE, because you already have full penetration from your group. And then they write here, that's always been good in PvP. They're buffing it only, mostly for PvP. Like this 300% on the dot, that's a buff for PvE. But the main reason to run this ability in PvE, would be this, not the penetration. And there's better alternatives for PvE. even if you buff the damage of corrosive by 300% on the dot path. Because this penetration is useless, so they didn't buff it necessarily for PvE, like it's still not gonna be the PvE thing. They really missed the mark here. Going to run Goro over Leap with its 20% damage buff in PvE? 10%, but yeah. No one's gonna do that. Or even Standard as a group buff. There's a lot of balance for the ultimate felt counterintuitive to the class design, failing to amplify the core part of their kit, damage over time effects. So you know what they could do? They could just change the Magma Cell morph that no one uses to be about damage over time. And keep corrosive as an option for people who want to do something different. They can buff the corrosive damage or the damage over time part of it. But I don't agree with the like giga nerf to the defensive power that you got. And the giga buff to the offensive one. That's fucking terrible. Well, to compensate for making this morph a damage ultimate, we're dialing back how tanky you become while it's active. That's the best part of it. We'll continue to monitor these effects. In general, seeing a Dragonknight activate this should instill immediate fear into their enemy, but not hopelessness. Yeah, it doesn't do that. Like, you have counterplay to Goro. Now you have less counterplay. And, what? Now if you see DK go Goro, and you have a billion dots on you, you sure will feel hopelessness, because those dots will have full pen. What is the... Am I taking crazy pills here? They write one thing and then they buff it in the complete opposite direction. Like, I'm failing to see the point here. Right now, if you see a DK go Goro, you streak away, you kite them. There's no hopelessness. There will be hopelessness after this changes. There will also be hopelessness for the DK if you want to fight outnumbered and you pop Goro. Or if you fight another DK who has giga dots, you're gonna take full damage from the dots after this change. So you will feel a lot of hopelessness whether you're playing as a DK or against a DK. So this change is just really bad. They might need to rethink this during the PTS. I really hope they do. I really hope they watch this video, which is going to be on YouTube. And I hope they rethink this approach. Because it is not... It is like the worst change so far. It makes no sense. Counterintuitive. Superheated Ward, originally Stonefist, is now a magic ability that grants you or an ally a sizable damage shield, scaling off your max magical stamina. Increase the cost to 4590 at base. Think of this as superheating the air around your target so intensely that it prevents harm from coming through. Should help support-oriented DKs have a more direct option to protect their allies while offering something completely different from the standard burst healing effect. Okay, so it is a damage shield that you put on targets, but is it a stronger damage shield than let's say, Warding Soul? Is it a stronger damage shield than Ardent Ward? Which should be buffed, because that's it's not the one that scales based on max magical. I think that's the best comparison actually, Ardent Ward. It should be stronger than that, and then yes, maybe it's worth shotting, but let's see what the morphs do. Volcanic Ward, originally Obsidian Shard. So this is the terrible heal that you cast on target and it can be dodge shot and then no heal. Adds a healing effect when the shield ends to offer some, supplementary healing to those you protect. Also reduces the next instance of damage taken by 10% from any attack. Note that ends means the following: the shield is replaced, the shield's duration runs out, or the shield breaks. Okay. Depends on the shield strength, if this is worth shotting. If this was a, like, Hardened Ward right now, it's a good ability. If it's less than Hardened Ward, it's a bad ability. Or depends on the healing. If the healing is strong, then it doesn't need to be as strong shield-wise as Hardened Ward, which should be buffed, by the way, in today's meta. Interesting. It's a buff regardless, like this ability needs some big changes. Magma Fist, originally Stonefist. This morph continues to be focused on stamina morph for damage dealers at range, with some support functions behind it, but it is significantly simpler to use. This morph now deals flame damage instead of physical damage, no longer splits between two distinct versions, or has a cast time. Good. That was the big complaint I had on my tier list. That was the stomp animation. It's like a weird mixture of a melee skill and a range skill, and like every third cast you would lose some offensive pressure if you tried to do range damage, because it would do a melee stomp, right? The buff has been renamed to Heat Shock, originally Stagger, lasts for 10 seconds up from 5 seconds, that's a good buff, especially for PvP. Now causes enemies to take 33 more damage from all sources per stack, down from 65. Oh, so they nerfed it. No longer stuns, okay, so they nerfed it. Never mind. Never mind. I take it back. No, it's just garbage still. If they kept it the same and removed the stomp and cast time, I think it might be worth using, but that's a massive nerf. And removing the stun means that we have a less ways to use it in PvP. A lot less ways. This should rectify much of the complaints of this morph. Yes, and now you introduce new ones, which rightfully deemed it clunky and difficult to manage. The duration now follows the Dragonknight's dot timer of 10 seconds, doesn't require different range activations, and scales more effectively to the rest of their kit in general. Expect to hear some back in my day stories from tanks and DPS who lived with the previous versions in the years to come. Okay. Yeah, back in my day, the ability was worth running. That's what we'll say. Molten weapons. This ability and morphs now cause the caster's light and heavy attacks to deal additional hit of flame damage up to once every 2 seconds. Interesting. It's kind of what I was saying it should do. I was talking about a heal, but flame damage every light and heavy, so it's going to be similar to the Arcanist weapon and spell damage buff. That's what it is. So again, to sticky damage over time effect in terms of number scaling, and should add some more value to the skill line for damage dealers. While it may not boast raw numbers over other specialized effects, the group utility is more than enough to make up for that warrant consideration. Hopefully it's only for yourself, right? Casters light and heavy, good. Good, because we didn't need this for the whole team, because people use this in bulk groups, for example, to just free bar space. We don't need a bulk group buff. But this is a good buff for the DK itself. You might want to run this skill now. Depending on the number, it could be broken, right? But they didn't change the morphs. Molten Armaments is still just the version that no one runs in PvP because of the Empower. They should have changed that. They should have changed that. Obsidian Shield. No large space changes for this one, just some number cleanup to account for the removal of the Eternal Mountain passive being reworked. Okay. Why no base changes? This ability is like the worst skill in the game, or one of the worst skills. They should definitely make a base change to this ability. Increase the shield size of the caster's version of the shield 12%. By 12%. Close to the standard self-shield ability. No. No, you could buff it by fucking 50% and it wouldn't be. This ability is fucking terrible. It scales based on your max health, but the shield you get is like, it's a 3k shield with like 40k health. Hold on. Absorbs 0.08 of your max health. Max health. And it's minus 50% BP, by the way. 30k health. 0.08 to 640. You get a 2.5k shield with 30k health. This is the morph that gives you a bigger shield, by the way. Oh, wait, no, this is the bigger shield. 0.2, it's still bad. I was thinking of the other morph, but This is with 30k health. A 3k shield. I was kinda close. So you get minus 50% in PvP, right? How is that close to... Even if you had 50k health. Even if you had 60k health, or 50k health. It would be a 5k shield with 50k health. You never fucking pick this ability. This ability is dog shit. Like, why can't they not balance things properly here? Even if you buff it by 12%... How much is plus 12% on 5k? Oh, you get a 5.7k shield if you build entirely for max health. Cool. It's one spammable and it's gone. Or one dot tick now. And it's gone. Surely worth running, right? Pointless. No scales with the caster's max magic or stamina than max health. It's more effective for support builds. Okay. Okay. Let's see how useful that one is. If they don't buff the values. Fragmented shield. So 0.08 of your max health. Let's go 60k magicka. Or actually no, fuck it. Let's go full meme build, 70k magicka. 0.082640. You play a complete meme build. Oh. Oh, you give people a 2.9k shield with 70k magicka. Yeah, I'm sure people will run this skill. I'm sure they will run this skill. Terrible. And Petrify, please do not ruin my Saturn rocks. Do not do that. Ability and its morphs now have a real bona fide counterplay. Rather than instantly stunning the enemy target and ignoring both block and dodge, the abilities now reduce the enemy target's move speed for 50% for 1 second. After 1 second, the target will become stunned for 4 seconds or 8 seconds if they are a monster. Stun continues to bypass block, but does not bypass dodge. Okay, they ruined it. They ruined it. Did they not learn anything from Rune Gates? How many people run Rune Gates? How good of an ability is Rune Gates considered to be? Even if Rune Gates had a snare when you cast it, spoiler, it would not be considered a good ability. No one would run a thing that is so easily countered. This is a pointless change. Saturn Rocks was fine. Now it's dog shit. But you have an alternative to it. You're just gonna run the one from Draconic Power. The one that's also a snare and root removal. And gives you major expedition. You're just gonna run the knockback. You can build around dots. But that's not a reason to make an ability useless. Abilities now also apply minor breach to the... okay, so they apply a debuff that you have easy access to with an absorb stem glyph. One of the easiest to apply debuffs in the game. Really? That's supposed to make up for it? I don't know about that one. Potential albeit rare PvP use case. Oh my god. No one's gonna use this in PvE. Why would you CC mobs with... I mean, at least they say albeit rare. But why would you use this in PvE? Arca Rune with Runegate CC. Yeah, it's just terrible. Ability and the fossilized morph no longer deal damage when stun ends, so they removed the damage as well. Because the apparently Rune Gates wasn't bad enough because it doesn't do damage. And the Arcanist CC that's undodgeable. It's actually could be good if it dealt damage, by the way. Apparently that one wasn't bad enough, or could be decent. You can still block tap it very easily. Reduce the cost to account for these changes. You could make the cost 0 and people won't run it. This is a really bad change. It was a fun CC to use. Especially when outnumbered, because you would get a heal out of it. You would do damage, you would have a counter to people spamming dodge hole like fucking monkeys. And people who would just be permablocking, you had a counter to that. I mean, you can still land it on block, but people are just gonna dodge roll. They see a snare, oh, just roll. Just roll. Fossilize, this morph continues to immobilize after the stun ends. Now also applies minor vulnerability, who cares? There's another Arcanist rune CC that no one uses. It's another dogshit ability. Saturn Rocks keeps the damage and healing on stun end. Okay, so at least you have those, but no one's gonna run this. If you can roll the stun, no one's gonna run this. Increase the amount of damage and healing done by 15% to account for the new delay. Yeah, but no one's gonna run this. Not happy with this. Maybe you can like spam Saturn Rocks. If someone's spamming dots, so spam Saturn Rocks, but with all of the dots... But I don't know, it's just... You see this and people are just gonna roll, it's just gonna be annoying. You're gonna be applying your... trying to apply your CC and it's just gonna get fucking dodge rolled every time. And then they heal up with their heal over times and... Earthspike Mantle, originally spiked armor, so the armor buff. This ability and morphs now increase your damage done by 100 all hits while active. Oh. Rather than causing you to deal damage back to melee attackers. So you have a Dragon at home. It's only 100, so it's 1/3 of Dragon. It should make the ability far more useful to damage dealers instead of being largely exclusive survivability tool. The damage done bonus may seem small, but it adds up over the course of a fight. Yeah, but not by that much. I think Dragon also kind of fell off. It kind of fell off. I don't think it's that good. If you get 1/3 of Dragon and you lose a bar slot for an armor buff that's not that special, I think most of the DKs will just be running Judan. Or no armor buff at all. Earthspike Mantle, originally volatile armor. This morph's damage over time effect now scales with your offensive stats rather than your armor, doubling down as a viable damage option for DPS. While also helping you stay in the... I mean, depends on the numbers, we'll have to see those. Helping you stay in the fight in the front lines with the extra armor. It's just major... just major resolve, no? Am I missing something? So when dealing damage with the effect, you add one additional stack of Avalanche up to once every 10 seconds. What was Avalanche again? Or is it... we didn't go over Avalanche yet, right? It's probably an Earthen Heart passive. I don't think we went through that one. When dealing damage with the effect, you add one additional stack of Avalanche, okay? Up to once every 10 seconds. Right, so not super useful, I suppose. Depends. Should help slightly expedite the time it takes to reach max stacks. Heart of Stone, originally scaled armor. Wait, what about... so they didn't change hardened armor, it still gives you a decent damage shield? But they buffed volatile. Okay. Heart of Stone, original scaled armor. This passive has used a name change inspired by lowers of rocks and stones. Okay. So this was the... scaled armor was the armor passive. Avalanche, originally Eternal Mountain. This passive now causes you to gain a stack of Avalanche when you deal damage, increasing your damage done by 1% per stack up to 10 times. Oh, so you get plus 10% damage from this passive, okay. Okay. Can occur once every 10 seconds, at rank 1, 5 seconds for rank 2. Every 2 seconds you fail to deal damage, you lose a single stack. I mean, this can be giga strong, right? Especially in duels, you will always have this active, basically, with dots. Just light weaving. So it takes 50 seconds to build it up fully. Or 25 with volatile. Interesting. Not 25, it's 10 second cooldown on volatile. Yeah, that's kind of strong passive. Similar to Amplitude, I guess, value-wise. Any ways to deal... Ooh, Shared Pain could be interesting. All you need to do is have dots on you. Which is always gonna be the case. You're just gonna do damage automatically. Could be a Shared Pain angle. Blessing at the peak, originally Mountain's Blessing. No big change for this one. The group buff was moved to Elder Dragon passive. Ultimate Generation remains here. Okay, so this just became a Dogshit passive. So they removed the minor brutality, and you only get ult gen. Mountain Giant, originally Helping Hands. This passive has been reworked. It now causes you fully charged heavy attacks to apply off balance to the enemy. Applies after the damage, so you can't instantly stun the target with this. Also in rank 2 of this passive causes you fully charged heavy attacks to generate 1430 stamina. Consider proc, so no interplay with other effects. On top of whatever restore they normally grant to help keep some of the original passive functionality. Holy shit. Well, I know what we subclass onto with the heavy attacker. Lightning heavy is gonna be very interesting with this. You know what else you can do with the skill line and the lightning heavies, which were dot damage for the first 2 ticks and direct damage for the last tick? You can do Koro. You can Koro and heavy attack. Zap zap. Passive should pair nicely with the Lava Whip, while also is giving you much more controlled and simple way of triggering off balance in general. This is also a buff for Firebrand. So you have Pyre Burster current fully charged heavy. What you can do is do like a bow heavy into Venom Arrow, for example. Or maybe you don't run Venom Arrow with the new Igneous weapons, but that could also be interesting. Because then you have off balance, so you can do full heavy into... Maybe you have ways to CC without Saturn rocks. Also, does it require fully charged heavy attack, or... it says fully charged, so you can't do medium wave to proc this. But that's probably fine. That's probably fine. It's not that hard to land fully charged bow heavies, for example. Interesting. Interesting. I can see workarounds to like how the Saturn Rocks pointless nerf is gonna affect the builds I have and other changes, so it's not gonna change too much. I think some of the things like Corrosive are just bad changes for the game, and they shouldn't have done that. And those will affect the fun I can have on my builds. And those will also affect the fun I can have when fighting DK, so I don't see those as good things. There's some good changes too, but especially in the Draconic Power skill line. And I think some of the Ardent Flame changes are good, but... As you can see, we weren't kidding when we said we were doing a complete rework of the Dragonknight class. Test all these changes for yourself when Update 49 arrives on the public test server on Monday, January 12th. Eager to hear your feedback and see how the Fury class performs in your hands. Don't forget this Dragonknight class refresh is part of Season 0. We'll go live with Update 49 on March 9th for all platforms. Be sure to share your thoughts on the above changes with us. My Blue Sky X Instagram. Okay.